Okay, I want you to take a second to imagine the relaxing comfort of your home. I mean the living room stocked with furniture and entertainment, the refrigerator in your kitchen full of drinks and food, the AC in the home, the beautiful comfortable bedroom, and the entire luxury of your home. And then take another second to imagine being thrown out of that protective, comfortable home into an open field with no protection, no food to eat, nowhere to sleep, no safe drinking water, no sanitation, and no school for your children. And your only hope is the arrival of some good Samaritan or some good angel from heaven to save you. That is the sad reality that many millions of people displaced by conflict and natural disaster live with every single day of their life. And the International Rescue Committee, commonly known as the IRC, for which I'm advocating for funding in this speech, is one of those good Samaritan or good angel out there that help millions of people in this stressful situation every day. Just to mention a few of the reports on this human suffering. The UNHCR, which is the branch of the United Nations responsible for the welfare of refugees, stated early this year that the global displacement of people reached a record number of 79.5 million people in 2019. Another report by the UNICEF, if you don't know, is the branch of the United Nations responsible for the welfare of children. In this April report of this year, it also stated that 30 million children were displaced in 2019 as a result of armed conflict and natural disaster. So what do all these data mean? All these data point out to the fact that there are millions of people out there displaced by conflict and disaster whose daily survival depends solely on humanitarian assistance. As a former refugee and a direct beneficiary of the IRC's humanitarian program, and having had the opportunity to work for the IRC for 2.5 years and having learned more about the humanitarian initiative, I want to share with you a brief background of this noble organization. The IRC was founded in 1933 by this German-born American physicist called Albert Einstein to help Germans suffering under the harsh and cruel leadership of Hitler in Germany. Until today, the mission of the IRC hasn't changed much. It is still committed to helping people whose livelihood and life have been destabilized by conflict and disaster to recover and gain control of their life again. It has a presence in over 40 countries around the world. So in this speech, I'm going to highlight some of the humanitarian crises the IRC deals with first, and secondly, I'm going to shed light on how the IRC helps people in desperate situations, and finally, I will outline some reasons why you should consider donating money to the IRC. So to begin, the IRC faces many challenges, including the frequent displacement of people. As you know, there is war everywhere today. There is conflict, there is armed violence, there is gang violence. And so this frequent displacement of people is one of the major challenges the IRC deals with every single day. Another major challenge to deal with is donor fatigue. And that is a phenomenon when donors start to grow reluctance in giving money. So donor fatigue is one of the major challenges the IRC deals with every single time. And that poses a very serious problem. Another challenge they also deal with is the frequent occurrence of natural disaster. As you know, when you watch the news, there's a news of hurricane and tornado and flood and earthquake, and that poses a very serious challenge for the IRC also. In its 2016 report, the IRC stated that 60 million people were displaced by the end of 2015. So now that we have covered some of the challenges of the IRC, let's now take a look at how the IRC help people deal with some of these situations, or how the IRC help people in these situations. As I mentioned earlier, the IRC is fully committed to helping people in stressful situations, in conflict situations, to recover and gain control of their life again. And it does that through the provision of food assistance, the provision of decent sleeping place, sanitation and hygiene education, the provision of free healthcare, learning opportunities, including primary, secondary, and even up to vocational level. I am a beneficiary of the IRC 2-year vocational training program for refugees. Now that we understand some of the humanitarian initiative of the IRC, let me give you some reasons why you should consider donating money to the IRC. Given those challenges just mentioned above, the only way the IRC will continue providing those life-saving assistance is by having enough funding. With adequate funding, the IRC will be able to continue saving millions of lives. It will provide all the necessary food assistance needed for the beneficiaries. It will provide all the necessary protection the beneficiary needs to stay safe. It will also make sure that their children have access to free school, and they and their family will have access to free health care as well. And by the way, besides being a beneficiary of the IRC training program, me and my family benefited from the IRC feeding program for years during our days in exile. To see some of the good work of the IRC and some of the testimony of the IRC, visit rescue.org/article/10 top humanitarian stories to see some touching stories from beneficiaries. In conclusion, we've seen some of the humanitarian initiative as well as some of the challenges faced by the IRC. The only way the IRC can continue providing those much needed assistance is by having enough funding. With adequate funding, the IRC will continue to save millions of lives around the world. And because the work of the IRC depends solely on funding, and funding is so critical to their mission, I'm kindly asking you to consider donating at rescue.org, or you can also do so by calling the number 885-7372-83. Please do not be reluctant. Donate today to save somebody out there. Thank you.